Hey guys, we are going to work on practice sheet 9. This says solve and write your answer in simplest form. So we are subtracting fractions here. So remember, adding and subtracting, we want same size pieces, which means a common denominator. So we want the least common denominator, okay? So 5, 4. Okay? So if we don't know it, we list it, right? Now, if you already know what the common denominator is, you do not have to list this, okay? 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 4 is 12, plus 4 is 16, plus 4 is 20 in there. I just found it, okay? So a lot of you are doing really good on getting those common denominators, okay? 20, 20. Now remember, our next step is make equivalent fractions. So 5 times what is 20? 5 times 4, right? So if I multiply the bottom, I multiply the top. What about 4 times what is 20? 4 times 5, right? If I multiply the bottom, I multiply the top, and I get 15. Okay? So I want you to look at this. I'm going to stop just for a second and make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing here, which is I have 8 pieces and I need to take away 15 pieces. So I do not have enough pieces. So I have to borrow, right? Or regroup. So the 8 is going to become a 7, and I borrow 1 whole. Okay? I borrow 1 whole. So that 1 whole, guys, I need to break it into pieces. How many pieces? Well, it's always however many I have on bottom. So in this case, it's 20. So I had 8 pieces. Now I have 20 more. So how many do I have altogether? 28, right? And I don't do it here. That wouldn't make sense because that would just make it where I can't subtract, okay? So I borrowed to help out this fraction here. So now I'm going to subtract. So 28 minus 15. What do I get? 13. And my denominator is 20. 7 minus 2. 5, and then I want to simplify, but 13 is what kind of number? 13 is prime, and it's not a factor of 20, so that is my answer. Okay, 5 and 13 over 20. Now, we had one of these on our test, and something similar to this, and we just had a lot of people who were really, really confused, okay? Gary walked 7 2/3 miles this week. This should say last week. Last week. Okay. This week he walked half that distance. How far did he walk this week? Okay. So, well, this week he only walked half of the distance of last week. Okay, because it says he walked half of that distance. Okay, so I want you to remember what we do to take half. Like if I say, don't write this down. What's half of 20? Well, half of 20 is 10, right? What's half of 40? Well, half of 40 is 20. What's half of 8? Half of 8 is 4, right? And so half is basically dividing by 2. So you could have said 7 2/3 divided by 2. Or you could have said, I want to take half of 7 2/3, which would make us end up multiplying. Now you're going to end up seeing it doesn't matter. We would do it the same way, okay? Because when I am dividing, I do Texas. 7 times 3, 21, plus 2 is 23 over 3. And I put this over 1. Okay. So now I'm going to do keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip, or find the reciprocal. Okay, so notice if I was to make this improper, guys, 23 over 3, get rid of that for a second. Notice we're really doing the same thing, okay? So either way you do it, I can say half times or I can say divide by 2. It's the same thing. You will get the same answer. So what you notice here is every number is prime except 1. That's neither. Remember, 1 and done. So I'm just going to multiply 23 times 1. 3 times 2, 6. This 23 is prime. Okay, I know it's not going to work with 6. Okay, so this is improper. So 23 divided by 6. Okay, so 6 into 23. Let's see, 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 6 is 18, plus 6 is 24. That's too big. So it only goes in 3 times. Well, look over here. What am I taking half of? 7? 7 and something. So if you think about it, what's half of 8? Well, half of 8 is 4. My answer is going to be less, just a little bit less than 4. So I know I'm on the right track here. Okay? 3 times 6. Now subtract. What do you get? And remember that goes on top over 6. Okay? So 3 and 5/6. So this is reasonable. This is a reasonable answer, okay? Number 3. I'm going to let you do number 3 by yourself. We have been doing that one over and over and over and over, and we just did it on this problem. Number 4, I'm going to let you do by yourself. 5, I'm going to let you do by yourself. Remember, 0, 0. You put it over 100 if you're listening. If you're not listening, you won't have that. 16 over 100 and then simplify. Remember on number 6, whenever we have 0, 0, think of it as like 7 over 100. We have to move it 1, 2. Okay? And I'm going to wait and do number 7 on a different video. Let's do we'll do number 8. But I will tell you it is a triangle problem. And your answer will have a decimal. And remember, if you're paying attention, this is division, everybody. That's division. So let's do number 10. Okay? So when you do number 10, guys, you want the formula for area of a triangle. So on our formula chart, and we will be working with this later, it's A equals half BH, base and height. So don't do this, but if you notice here, that is basically what is shaded as half of a rectangle. Most of you in here know either length times width or base times height for a rectangle. But if you look here, half of this is shaded. Half of the base times height, right? That's where they get that formula, okay? So I want you right now, this is one I would love for you to learn. A equals half of BH, okay? Now, I'm going to rewrite it with the numbers. The base is 12. And I'm going to go and put inches because that's setting a good example for you. The height is 5 inches. And one way you know that these are the bases and the heights are because it should form a right angle, okay? If you have a triangle like this, these two are not the base and the height. You have to have this number right there, okay? You have to have that right angle. Okay, now once we're here, what I do, Every teacher teaches it different, but if I see an even number, I like to just take half. What's half of 12? 6. And officially, 6 inches. Okay? I do not have to take half of the second number, just one number. Well, now look at my numbers. They're a lot smaller. 6 times 5? 30. 30 what? Inches squared. Okay, because this is area. Area covers the surface. If that's confusing you, just remember, like if I have 3 times 3, that's the same as 3 squared, or 3 to the power of 2. Okay? If I have 6 times 6, that's the same thing as 6 to the power of 2. That does not look very good, but let's try again. Okay? So I have inches times inches. Inches times inches. That means inches to the power of 2 when we are multiplying. That's how it works. Okay, if it was perimeter, it would just be inches, not inches squared. Okay,